Hi everyone, this is Sam with Wine News in 5. Today I'll give you an update on frost damage in France and ANSES' battle to do away with copper fungicides, before discussing new data on Champagne and Georgian wine exports, the continued boom in UK wine production, Juvé y Camps joining Corpinnat, and how the global alcohol downturn is affecting several large beverage companies. First up, an update on frost damage in France. As reported in my last newscast on March 28th, France was hit by frost in the late hours of March 26th and the morning of March 27th. Vineyards in Champagne, Burgundy, Alsace, and Savoie were suspected to have been affected. On March 30th, Vitisphere reported that while Alsace and Savoie escaped relatively unscathed, damage in Champagne and Burgundy is significant. Jura and Provence have also been affected. For Champagne, 2026 looks to be one of the worst frost years in recent history. Maxime Toubart, president of the General Union of Champagne Wine Growers, told Vitisphere that at least 20% of the appellation saw 100% damage. Sébastien Debuisson, director of the Technical and Environmental Department of the Comité Champagne, added that even the least affected areas of the appellation saw between 5 and 15% of buds destroyed. In Burgundy, the most affected region was Chablis, where temperatures dropped to negative 6.5 degrees Celsius, 20.3 degrees Fahrenheit, the morning of March 27th, and then plummeted again on March 29th. Thierry Motte, vice president of Chablis AOC, was quoted saying, "We don't know what will be left in the small buds. The larger ones are already brown, soft, and dead. We're never sure what's in the secondary buds." In Jura, Hervé Liger, president of the Arbois AOC, shared that damage is variable across the appellation, but Chardonnay is the worst affected as it budded 3 weeks earlier than usual. The Var, where Provence is located, saw frost on the morning of March 27th and again the morning of April 3rd. The Var Chamber of Agriculture reported that 114 hectares, 282 acres of vineyard have been affected, with average losses estimated at 24%. On to ANSES' ongoing battle to do away with copper. Copper, the most widespread treatment for downy mildew and one of the only treatments approved under organic practices, is, until viable alternatives are developed and approved, a necessary product for viticulture. On July 15, 2025, France's National Agency for Food, Environmental and Occupational Health Safety, ANSES, failed to renew marketing authorizations for 20 out of 22 copper-containing fungicides that were up for renewal, and they put tight restrictions on the 2 they did renew. At the end of February, France's National Confederation of AOC Wine Producers, the CNAOC, the National Federation of Organic Agriculture, the FNAB, and the National Interprofessional Association of Organic Wines, France VinBio, announced their support of all companies challenging the ANSES bans. On March 31st, Cosaco, a global manufacturer of agricultural copper salts, which had filed a lawsuit against ANSES, successfully argued for the reversal of ANSES' decisions banning or restricting 4 of its copper-containing fungicides. The Administrative Court of Moulins partially suspended the ANSES ban on these products and ordered ANSES to re-examine the applications for marketing of these products for use on vines within 2 months. If the marketing authorizations are renewed, these products should return to shelves later this year. Next, new data on Champagne and Georgian wine exports. On April 7th, the Comité Champagne announced their 2025 export numbers. In total, Champagne shipped 266 million bottles, 152 million bottles to international markets, and 114 to French markets. This is a 2% decline from 2024. The US remains the top export market for Champagne, followed by the UK, Japan, Germany, and Belgium. Of the top 5 international export markets, only the US saw a decline in volume of sales, dropping by 3.4%. With regard to category, Brut Champagne continues to be the most successful category and accounts for 77% of market share. On April 6th, Georgia's National Wine Agency announced export numbers for the first quarter of 2026. In total, Georgia exported 17.3 million liters of wine worth $53.2 million. This is a 5% volume increase and 7% value increase over the same period in 2025. On to the continued boom in UK wine production. On March 25th, WineGB published its 2025 harvest report. Favorable weather conditions in 2025 resulted in a 39% increase in production over 2024 and a 1.24% increase in production over the 5-year average. Quality is expected to be very good. Next, Juvé y Camps joins Corpinnat. Juvé y Camps, one of the most respected and recognized sparkling wine producers in Spain, announced on April 1st that it had left Cava to join Corpinnat, a collective brand for high-quality sparkling wine from Penedès. This is a huge blow to Cava, which has been losing producers to other sparkling wine organizations for over a decade. Frustrations with the appellation began approximately 15 years ago and centered around the fact that the DO, which is concentrated in Catalunya, but covers a vast area of vineyards as far afield as Extremadura, Rioja, and Valencia, offered producers no option to declare a more specific region of origin and had a low barrier to entry in terms of quality standards. High-end sparkling wine producers, most of whom are in Penedès, demanded a way to distinguish their wines from affordable everyday cava. And after years of proposing changes to the DO with no success, groups of producers left the DO to establish Classic Penedès in 2014 and Corpinnat in 2019. With top producers rapidly abandoning the Cava appellation, Cava finally, in 2021, established subzones and raised quality requirements for producers wanting to use these subzones. But if Juvé y Camps is any indication, the demanding standards of Corpinnat and the high quality represented by the organization is still a strong enough draw to lure producers away from the more recognizable DO. Finally, the effects of global alcohol downturn on several large beverage companies. The IWSR recently released data showing that sales of wine declined 6% in volume in 2025. While this is a negative for all wine producers, large wine companies seem to be especially hard hit. On April 8th, Wine Titles reported that Casella's brand Yellowtail had recorded its first loss in 13 years. Sales to the US fell 17% in 2025, and the company suffered a loss of $5.5 million. On April 9th, the drinks business reported that wine and spirit sales for Constellation Brands fell by 58% to $194.2 million, largely due to brand disposals. Woodbridge, Mayomi, Robert Mondavi Private Selection, Cooks, and Simi were sold to the wine group last year. Meanwhile, Treasury is fending off rumors of looming bankruptcy due to a $649.4 million loss in the first half of the 2026 financial year, and Pernod Ricard and Brown-Forman have confirmed that they're negotiating a merger. That's all for this episode of the Wine News. I'll see you on April 24th. If you enjoy this newscast and you'd like to see it continue, please become a member of jancesrobinson.com. And if you have breaking news in your area, please email me at news@jancesrobinson.com. Thanks.